with a $100 gift card from Amazon?
I think I would buy the new expanded edition of Book of the Law by Aleister Crowley.
Do something better than that when you win with your $100 Amazon gift card.
Thank y'all and hail Satan.
There's no place to escape to.
This is the last podcast.
On the left. That's when the cannibalism started.
What was that?
So please hold my moccasins for me. They are full of dirt. It is making my toenails brown. Brown is my skin, you say? This is one hell of a makeover. Thank you, Deirdre.
It's a Native American makeover, the new HGTV show I've heard so much about.
Please tie my buckskin tighter. It fits my form better, so I am more attractive to Wumpa Wumpum.
Oh, Wumpa Wumpum.
The least heavy of the females of my tribe, and how I wish to wife with her. But sadly, there has been a basketball player from the Utah Jazz who has come through the reservation to get cartons of cigarettes, and Wumpa Wumpum is leaving with him.
Oh, it's tough. You can't compete with a jazz player. They're very athletic.
Tune in to Native American Makeup Tips, Thursdays on the Hallmark Network.
Awesome.
You cut a beaver's back of his tail and rub it against your eyes, and his fecal matter is a dark brown, and it is good against the brown of your skin. Most of our makeup is brown.
Well, that works. That's very convenient. I hope it's not all poo-poo. That's pretty gross. Poo-poo makeup isn't necessarily going to sell.
Cover yourself in river mud.
Right.
Allow the brown of the river mud to mix with the brown of your skin.
Right. I'm not sure how I feel about where the conversation's gone.
Your assumptions of my people are highly offensive.
What? You're assuming that they use poo-poo for makeup.
I assume nothing. You have assumed that, tall man.
Oh, well, how'd you come up with that nickname?
Big Tall walks with melted candle.
Oh, you're disgusting, and that's offensive towards my body. Good Lord.
You started it.
What? Oh, now I'm gonna you started. Who started a conversation with a Native American? I can't win that. I mean, and we did start it.
Today we're doing Native American cryptids.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's get it started.
Native American cryptids today on Last Podcast on the Left.
Can we put a big sort of caveat at the very beginning? Native Americans are boring. I'm like, what? Their stories are amazing. I automatically assumed that a Native American storyteller would be incredible, and that would be all like, and then the ferret turned into a woman with breasts, and then I knew that was my wife. But they're all just kind of stumbly-bumbly. I saw this 45-minute long video with a guy named Chief Dan last night talking about skinwalkers. We're covering skinwalkers today. And I watched this video last night, and I got to tell you, I went right to sleep.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't listen to
chamomile tea.
Chief Dan. He might not be the most authentic of all the Native American speakers. I'm Chief Barry Winstead.
Pittsburgh. Chief Dan, he was just like, absolutely. Hey, me and my Indian buddies, all I do, I'm sick of fucking corn. I'll tell you that. Sick of being an Indian.
Right.
Well, I had a Dene woman come to my cultural anthropology course once, and she gave a rousing speech.
I watched a program on PBS last night about the differences between urban Native Americans and reservation Native Americans. I thought it was quite fascinating.
Like Rapster Indians?
Rapster?
They're wearing their fucking chief hats backwards, the feathers at the front.
Yeah, they're they're the hip rapster Native Americans.
I'm sorry to our Native American population. I am very interested in their view of the universe and their view of magic and involvement in our reality, and we're going to talk with John Keel addresses that.
Right. Yes, John Keel. He says that certain locations, such as the Bridgewater Triangle that we covered a few episodes ago, are hot spots for paranormal, UFO, and most importantly, cryptozoological sightings. And he argues that this is because these locations are a type of window into another dimension.
Okay.
So there is we've talked about before on this podcast, there is a relationship between ghosts, UFOs, and cryptids.
Yes.
That they all seem to happen at the same time. And in Native American folklore and Native American stories about the way they deal with cryptids, the way they deal with shapeshifters and skinwalkers, is that it's very much a part of their community. They believe that it happens all the time. They don't know the difference between what is just a animal, like a cryptid, and what is a wizard wearing a belt hat. You know what I mean? Like,
well,
they
it's
don't
tough
know
to
the-
tell the difference, to be fair. I mean,
I mean, that's not to say they and generalize all Native Americans
And
here.
some like to be
Medicine
called
men-
some like to be called American Indians.
Ah,
so
yes.
think about that as
And
well.
many of us love to be called Cree. We like to be called Dene.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the lie.
because what's weird is that it turns out that Navajo, when translated into racist English, actually means 7 foot tall, red-headed beer addict.
Oh, I
And they're
didn't know
sick of
that. Wow.
He's got 2 empties and 2 fulls in front of him, Henry.
That's right. I'm about to make them all the same.
But no, Navajo actually broken down means thief. And so they do not choose to use the term Navajo. They like the term Dene, which means the people.
Yeah.
That's nicer than thief,
Yeah, and Sioux translates to enemy, I believe, and they their name is Lakota, what they call themselves. I believe one of our listeners is a Lakota Indian, in fact.
Welcome
and that
aboard.
means big dick, awesome dudes.
Big dick awesome dudes. I've heard that before.
So this guy, John Keel, he says that the sudden disappearance and appearances of these wild unknown creatures all over the world, even in densely populated areas, because we do see certain cryptozoological animals showing up in cities, suggests that they have some means of transportation, or else they are deliberately dumped here and retrieved by some form of
It
transportation.
is an offensive thing to call the homeless. I just want to
It
say
is.
that.
Also, I don't know how many times I've walked into the creek and I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe a Sasquatch has worked his way into the bathroom and is washing his hands. That's amazing. He's learning how to wash his hands. It's such long flowing hair. Oh, that's just Ed Larson.
Of course, the creek being the creek in the cave where we record all of our
And what is that foul odor emanating from such a skunk ape? I can't believe he is. And it's so dangerous to have this creature in the. It's Edward Larson again.
Edward
God, I
Larson
love that joke
from
because
the Round Table of Gentlemen. Yes.
you're commenting on Ed's weight, which is so funny because he is
And
so
smell.
fat, and then the odor thing too, and then to make it a trifecta, you brought the hair into it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that
I-
joke about
so
how fat and hairy and smelly Ed is.
Round Table of Gentlemen, Mondays on Cave Comedy
God.
Radio.
Great
And
joke.
John Keel here says that another world exists outside our space-time continuum, and that these myriad objects and creatures have found doors from their world to ours in these window sectors.
Right.
Which actually fits into another UFO. I'm gonna do a whole episode about this other concept that Jacques Vallée created, was just this thing called a control system, and that our Earth lies within what it may possibly be like a matrix, like a computer simulation that aliens have trapped us in, that the Greys and reptilians have trapped us in purposefully to feed off of our emotional energy. And part of that is including the cryptid myths and the idea and people and shamanistic abilities that all fits into that theory about basically they manipulate people and create these cryptids, these sort of like beings that pop into our world in order to generate fear that they eat, that makes their butts larger.
So
And that's what they want.
they're farming our fear. That's
Yeah.
the whole point of
Yes.
Absolutely, and I can contribute quite a bit to that as well. It's been that's been kind of things been swirling around in my head. Can't wait for that fucking episode.
right.
Absolutely, and that's gonna be a fucking hog's leg episode.
Oh my God! So these creatures, John Keel said, can be broken into 2 different groups. Group 1 are genuine animals of land and sea, but still unknown to science. The accepted definition of cryptozoology. They include at least 3, but probably more types of abominable snow persons.
Oh, I see. Let's get really politically correct with it.
And at least 7 large amphibian mammals and reptiles, and overall they seem to be harmless and would prefer that we leave them alone. You know, that would also include Nessie and another monster that we're going to cover later on in this episode. We're going to cover a few of them in this episode.
I don't want to live in the world where the abominable snowman is nice.
Really?
He's supposed to be mean.
The Yeti?
Talking about
The Yeti should be mean.
What are you basing your entire? Are you basing all your opinions of the Yeti on the Rudolph the Reindeer fucking Christmas special?
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And yes, that's how they should be. They're terrifying.
Yeah, I suppose.
Come on. Who wants a nice Yeti?
I'd love a nice Yeti.
And Harry and the
Want to
Hendersons.
maybe go to the movies with him, or it'd be funny to like get a hamburger with him, and me going like, check it out, hey, check it out. And
Yeah.
he's just like, I am alone in this world.
Yeah, he's all
Thanks for
sad.
This young goblin man has chosen to be with me. He's like, he's my friend. He's my friend.
And group 2, These are entities on this planet and around it that are far beyond all efforts to translate them into understandable cellular creatures. They are part of the energies that were scattered into space billions of years ago, and their intelligence is so vast and so ruthlessly inhuman that there is no way for us to comprehend it or communicate with it.
So these are reptilians and things like that?
Yeah, things that are outside of our knowledge, essentially. Things that we can't.
Possible interdimensional beings that are controlling our reality.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Which is why, what does it really matter if I'm fucking late to work?
Yeah. Explain that to your boss. You won't be fired.
Well, the first monster that we're going to cover
Which
today.
one is we're going to talk skinwalkers, right? Which one is he? Is he number 1 or number 2?
Well, that's what I was about to get into.
Oh, thank you, Marcus.
Somewhere between the two.
He's a 1.5.
Exactly. We don't necessarily know. There is much debate between as to what the skinwalkers actually are. The Dene, as they prefer to be called, the Dene, they think that skinwalkers are actual witches. Actual witches in their tribe, actual people, while other people believe that skinwalkers can be Sasquatch. But today, we're going to be focusing on the witch aspect of it. So skinwalkers, they are shape-shifting witches that are able to assume the attributes of various animals, especially canines. They can walk in the skin of another animal. The Navajo name for it, Yi no Dulushi. I think the Navajo language is fucking incomprehensible.
It's very hard to speak. I mean,
Yeah.
And that's why we used it in Wind Talkers, the movie Wind Talkers, because the Nazis were like, "What is this fucking? What is this ooga booga noise? What is the noise? It's not. It's as beautiful as the German language."
Yeah, it's tough to say which is worse sounding.
Yeah. I think German's worse sounding.
If you could go and become any animal, what do you think smells the best? You know, because when you're stuck inside of these creatures, that's going to be pretty rough.
Well, the
I want to
animals.
be a fun little mink.
Yo, that would be kind of nice.
Well, your clothes, they can turn into foxes.
Oh.
They can also turn into coyotes, owls, wolves, crows. And the name that the Navajo use, it means, with it, he goes on all fours. Although,
And so there's also the Dene folklore around skinwalkers is that they started as skinwalkers was a race of medicine man that would work with the Navajo or the Dene in order to basically during the beginning when white people started showing up, they were very nervous, obviously, because we are not a good group. And we let ourselves be known as a bad group.
when we show up, party's over.
The party immediately. Yeah. I mean, it's always just like, we brought the accordion here, which ruined America for a long period of time.
Yeah, whether it be colonists, conquistadors, cops, anytime white people show up, it's done.
Well,